The Holy Book, Sefer Hayashar, episode 45. The Arizal teaches that it is a great mitzvah to accustom oneself to performing the Kabbalistic unification on behalf of the Shekhinah, Sha'ar HaYechudim 3b. In this manner, one gives support and aid to the Shekhinah and expedites the redemption. However, not everyone is capable of performing these unifications while he is praying or fulfilling any of the mitzvahs. For one thing, he may simply lack the requisite knowledge. For another, he may not feel confident that he can avoid stray thoughts while praying, in which case he would actually be causing harm rather than good. Moreover, a man cannot remain in a state of purity at all times, and just as it is forbidden for a man to come into contact with the sacrifices when he has become defiled through an emission of seeds, so is it forbidden to perform any of the unifications if he has not immersed after having such an emission. Thus, if a person prays and performs the mitzvahs with simple but heartfelt intentions, without any admixture of stray thoughts, surely the merciful one will accept them with mercy and favor. Even so, it is still preferable for him to recite the meditation for the sake of the unification of the Holy One, blessed is He, and His Shekhinah, before he prays. Similarly, when a man studies Torah, let him say beforehand, for the sake of the unification of the Holy One, blessed is He, and His Shekhinah, so that he does not appear to be foregoing his holy practice willingly. Thus, we find in Eruvin 28b that when Reb Zera was too weak to study, he would sit near the entrance of the yeshiva of Rab Yehuda bar Ami so that he would be able to rise before the scholars as they entered and not be entirely devoid of mitzvahs. I've also been told by men of great deeds that when they're unable to perform a mitzvah, they finger the tzitzis and gaze at them because this in itself is a lofty matter that causes the Shekhinah to be elevated in the midst of the exile. Those who understand the Kabbalistic principle of unification have in mind as they gaze at the tzitzis a certain great and awesome divine name, the numerical value of which is equal to the word ayin, I. Through this, they're able to fulfill the concept behind the blue threads of the tzitzis even today. I am now going to reveal to you a little bit, but conceal twice as much, regarding the concept behind the blue thread, techeles, of the tzitzis. The value of the word ayin, I, is 130. But since a man must gaze at his tzitzis with both eyes, this comes to a total of 260. Add this to the numerical value of the word tzitzis, which is 590, then one receives a total of 850. This is exactly equal to the numerical value of the word techeles. I have received an oral tradition from the illustrious Rabbi Yaakov Temerlis of Lublin, that a person should have this in his mind while gazing at the tzitzis. Through this, he helps eliminate the darkness intervening between us and the Shekhinah, alluded to by the prophet Yirmiyahu in the verse, "You have led me into darkness and not light." Eicha 3.2. The main thing to recall is that the Holy One, blessed is He, did not create the human being in this world for the benefit of his body, for the body is destined to disintegrate in the earth. Rather, He created him for the benefit of his soul, which was carved out from beneath the throne of glory, and is a portion of the divine, come down from on high. The soul was only brought here in order to rectify it and adorn it with the good deeds that expedite the redemption and the cause of the Shekhinah to rejoice in this bitter exile. Through this, the soul refines the body as well, causing it to radiate with clear light, especially when the body is warmed up by the performance of one of the mitzvahs. It is not in vain that the sages said that when a person responds, Amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah, with all his might, Gehenna is cooled off on his behalf. This should be taken at face value, namely that one should say the words Amen, Yehei, Shemei, Rabbah with all one's might. However, this does not mean that one should raise one's voice excessively and become an object of ridicule. Rather, it means that one should say it with full force of all one's limbs. Thus, it is taught in the Zohar, Parshas Pinchas 2:20a, that a person must arouse all of his limbs with great force, so that his heart will be shattered along with the power of the Sitra Achara. Even the wicked find rest when Israel recites these words, as it is related in the Zohar in Parshas Noach 62b. Tosefta. When Israel raises its voice to respond aloud, Amen, Yehei Shemei Rabbah, the Holy One, blessed is He, becomes filled with mercy, bestowing life to all. Then the Holy One, blessed is He, motions to the angel called Samriel, holder of the keys to Gehenna, and he opens 3 doors on the side of the desert so that the wicked will be able to enjoy the light of this world. But the smoke comes and blocks the view so that they cannot see it. Then 3 appointed angels wave fire rakes to push the smoke back for an hour and a half in the merit of the response of Amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah that Israel recites every day. After this, the wicked must return to Gehenna. Just how precious this praise is to the Holy One, blessed is He can see it from an incident cited in the Zohar in Parshas Teruma 165b to 169b. Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Abba were staying at an inn. They arose at midnight to engage in study, and the innkeeper's daughter stood holding the lamp for them while they studied. At one point, Rabbi Abba looked back and noticed that she was holding the lamp. He said, "It is written, for a mitzvah is a lamp, but Torah is the light." Mishlei 6.23. A woman is commanded concerning the Shabbos lamp, but not a man. This is because a woman corresponds to the Shekhinah. And it is written, but Torah is light. This refers to the Torah that her husband studies, for a man is commanded to study Torah. This gives as much illumination as the mitzvah of the Shabbos lamp that the woman kindles. Thus, the 2 of them are illuminated both by the light of the Torah and the light of the Shabbos. Fortunate is the woman who merits a husband who is a scholar. When the young woman heard these words, she began to weep. In the meantime, her father entered and saw her weeping. He asked why she was weeping, but in her bitterness of heart, she did not respond. Then her father also began to weep. Rabbi Abba observed, "From her weeping, I understand that her groom is an ignoramus and not a scholar." The girl's father replied, "That is indeed the case. I took him for my daughter because I once saw him jump from a rooftop to hear Kaddish along with the congregation. Just as soon as he left the synagogue, I offered him my daughter, assuming based on that leap to hear Kaddish that he was a great scholar, even though he was still young, for I did not know him previously. But as it turns out, he does not even know the grace after meals, and I do not have any means to compel him to study, or to recite the Shema, or the grace after meals." Rabbi Abba said, "So exchange him for another. That is, compel him to divorce her, and then betroth her to a scholar." Then he thought about the matter again. Alternatively, perhaps his son will be a scholar. In the meantime, the groom came over and sat down among them. Rabbi Abba looked at him and said, "I see this youth, that a great illumination will indeed come out of him." Then the youth spoke up, "My teachers, allow me to say something. I am young in days and you are elders, therefore I groveled and dared not express my opinion among you." Eov 32.6. The pillars of the world have noted that it is written of Elihu that he was the son of the family of Ram, but it is also written that he was the son of Barchael Habuzi. He was only called by this name because he would degrade, mevaze himself before those who were older than he was. This is the meaning of his statement, I am young in days. I too diminish myself before those who are older than I am. Now I'm a young man, whereas in this place there are men who have grown old in wisdom. Therefore I resolved that I would not speak until today. But now you are here, the time has come for me to open my mouth. Then he began expounding the verse, for a mitzvah is a lamp, but Torah is light, Mishlei 6.23, revealing to them numerous esoteric insights. Afterwards he commented, know that I am from Babylon, and that I am the son of Rav Safra. Although I did not merit to know my father, I was exiled to this place and was afraid to speak, because the inhabitants of this land are lions in Torah. Therefore, I resolved that I would not speak any words of Torah for 2 months. Today, those 2 months are complete. How fortunate I am that I met you here. Rabbi Yossi raised his voice and wept, and all of them arose and kissed him upon the head. Rabbi Yossi said, if we had come here for no reason other than to hear from your mouth these words of Ancient of Days, the like of which I have never heard before, it would have been enough for us. They all took their seats, and the groom said, my teachers, when I saw the pain of my father-in-law and his daughter, my wife, over the fact that I did not know the grace or the Shema, I resolved that I would not approach my wife until I had revealed to you some of the wondrous esoteric meanings behind the grace after meals. While the young man spoke, Rabbi Yosei, Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Chia, his father-in-law, and the bride all rejoiced, and when he had finished, they again arose and kissed him. Rabbi Yosei declared, this is surely a match that the Holy One blessed as he is pleased with. Then they turned to the bride and showered her with blessings. Afterwards, they instructed her father to prepare a place for them at the wedding, for we will not leave here, said Rabbi Yosei, until it has been held. The entire town gathered to participate in that joyous occasion. They called her bride and rejoiced with them by reciting the words of the Torah. During the wedding feast, the groom delivered a discourse at the table, explaining the concept of the 7 blessings, revealing numerous awesome secrets and insights. Everyone rejoiced, and the townspeople unanimously selected him to be their rabbi and halachic guide. When the wedding was over, Rabbi Yosei, Rabbi Abba, and Rabbi Chia arose, blessed them, and continued on their way. When they came to Rab Shimon ben Yochai, he looked up at them. I was observing you today, he said, and I saw that for 2 days you have been lodging in a tabernacle of a youth who is actually the angel of Matat, and he taught you many lofty secrets. How fortunate is your portion. Then they reviewed for him the entire course of events. After which he again observed, fortunate are you and fortunate is your portion. Then he added, and fortunate is my lot, for I recall the day that Rav Safra, the groom's father, accompanied me, and I blessed him that he would have a son who would be a lion of Torah. But I did not bless him that he would merit raising him, or that he would see him reach that stage. We can learn from the conclusion of this passage that when a rabbi blesses his disciple, that he merits scholarly sons, he must also bless him, merit raising them, and witnessing the light of their Torah in his lifetime. We can also learn from this excerpt that one must not seek prominence among the great, and that the young should try to hear the wisdom from the elderly, for they will undoubtedly hear things that they have never heard before, thereby causing their wisdom to increase. Furthermore, we can learn from this incident that one should try to master the Kabbalistic unifications, for we see that Rav Safra had taught to his son, the groom, the unification behind the grace after meals, and the Shema, as well as those that lie behind the propounding of Torah insights, despite the fact that his son was still very young. And we can learn that one never loses by the performance of mitzvahs, For when the innkeeper saw the groom leaping from roof to hear the Kaddish and respond, Amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah, that is when he saw him fulfilling the mitzvahs. He gave him his daughter to wife. And this was on account of only one single mitzvah. Therefore, a person must be diligent in the fulfillment of the mitzvahs and in study. Then Hashem will protect him while he is involved with them and even when he is not. Peace will encompass all that he has.